Guess you can't draw a line. This stuff is junk. It's junk, man. Don't work, man. This stuff don't work, man. This is junk. What you call real junk. Unbelievable. Elon Musk is a dirtbag. He's a dirtbag. Putting in some seats in this model canoe today, folks. on there. I'll put a middle thwart right in the middle. Here we'll wipe some cherry over these seats. It'll really pop out. It'll look like the rest of this wood. Right here once I put the cherry on there. Linseed oil, I mean. What else we got today? Let's see. This Canoe coffee table I've been working on for a while. It's all done. I might put a cherry floor rack in the middle. But I got the seats. Nice cane seats in there. I'm gonna, outside of the hull, get 4 or 5 coats of epoxy resin. And that'll be it for that. I have to make a stand for it. So it sits probably about, I don't know, 32, 33 inches off the floor. I'm gonna take a piece of plexiglass and cut it so it goes around the insides of the gunnels. This glass will set on the seats. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a middle thwart. Most canoes have middle thwarts going across the middle. I don't know if I'm going to put one of those in here or not. I've made this table years ago in a lot of them. They're a pretty hot item for a long time around here. But if you put the thwart in here, it kind of takes away from the look of the ribs. So I might not do that. On the ends, very ends right here. Try to explain this stuff. These are 3/8 of an inch wide, 3/16 brass. Bring this over closer. A little brass bang plate, or I just call them regular stem plates that they use on canoes. They just wrap around the outside of the canoe. Saying this brass, 3/8 of an inch wide, about 3/16 wide. It's flexible brass. Yeah, it wraps around. Put a 90-degree angle. I'll leave about 1.5 inches or so hanging over the canoe, and you bend it around. Goes underneath the front of the canoe a little bit, underneath the bottom. It'll stop it anywhere, like something like this. It'll bend around just like that, and I shine it all up with a buffing wheel, and I spray it with clear silicone spray. If you shine up brass and spray it with clear silicone spray, it'll stay looking shiny like brass. If not, well, you're gonna end up with this oxidization. It just gets all not too nice looking. I mean, some people like that patina on there like that. I like the shiny brass myself. That's basically what we do with this. Years ago, I used to wrap this in brass too. Years ago. But not too much anymore. Stuff's out of control. The price really hurts me, and like I said, but these, I used to wrap these canoes, these 5-foot models, with brass too. So a lot of people have them with nice brass on there. I might start doing it again. What I've been doing is just wrapping this in stem with a piece of cherry flat, thin cherry wood, and it looks kind of nice. I kind of like it. But then again, when you put the brass on it, over it, I might start wrapping this with brass again. And then that way there, it'll be just a little reveal on the ends of the cherry. And then you'll have this brass sitting in there, on there like that. I kind of like that. That's really nice looking. I might start wrapping them in brass again. We'll see what happens. I'm a little older now. I used to make these things by the hundreds. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, I used to make these Canoe coffee tables. And I've sold them to all kinds of people all over the country. These tables right here for a long time. But I kind of got out of those and started building these traditional model canoes. These canoes right here are the real McCoy you're looking at. This isn't some kind of cheap thing from you know where. The planking on this canoe is 2 inches wide. It's real thin. Let me grab a piece just to demonstrate how thin that planking is. That planking is specially cut. I specially cut this planking on the table, so I rip the board. I rip the board 2 inches wide. You flip the board, then you rip it the other way. Comes out a little bit thicker than this right here, and that's pretty thin. Then we take her and you run her through the planer, smoothens it out so it's real flexible. It's like 3/16 thick. This is what we cover the canoe with. Up there, like right here is a form over here. Bend the ribs over the form, and then you attach the planking to the ribs with very small brass tacks. These little tacks are very good. See, I have a bunch of them. I have like a half a pound in this bumblebee tuna fish can right here. You can see how small they are. Really, really small. There's like a gazillion of them in there. Really, really small. Takes about 380 of them to do one 5-foot canoe model like this right here. Now, when you look at these two canoes together, you might say, well, they look alike, but they're really not. This construction on this Canoe coffee table is what you call cedar strip construction. So you take long strips and you rip them through your table saw and you bead and cove them. Strips about a 1/2 inch. I make them, they're not very wide on this particular coffee table because this is difficult to build, but on a full-size canoe, cedar strip canoe, they're probably about 3/4 inch wide. You bead and cove them, and you run them the length of the canoe, and you staple and glue, staple, glue, staple, glue. And you pull the staples out, fill the staple holes, and you epoxy over the canoe with glass, 8-ounce fiberglass cloth, and then you put the resin to it. Fiberglass epoxy resin. But this here, when you look at it, it's got the ribs have been bent in this after the canoe was built. Okay, so those ribs are just for show. They look nice. Make it look like a traditional canoe. This canoe, right here, is a traditional built canoe. If I slide this form up, if I roll this form over here, you take a look at it, you're looking at a solid canoe form. that this canoe right here is built on. When you bend the ribs over the steel ribs, steel bands, okay, so this is all little ribs on here bent, all wood. You fair them out nice and smooth. Then you take your planking and you run it and you tack it all on. And you fit it in place. It's time consuming. And the canoes I build, a lot of these nowadays, I've built these with canvas. You stretch canvas over the hull and you fill the canvas and you paint it. Well, these canoes here that I build, this is just, it's all cedar. These have to be pretty much perfect, you know, because people look at it. They scrutinize it and they look at it because they can hold it. They can pick it in their hands and they can scrutinize it. It's not like a big canoe on the ground and really walk around and look at it and they go, wow, that thing's really nice. Well, this is a little different because they can actually pick it up and they're looking at it, man. So the work's got to be good or they're not buying it. That one there has oil on it, linseed oil. I'll get another one out here in the back. This canoe right here is a finished canoe. All shiny, nice clear coated. You can see how shiny and beautiful it is. All this dark trim is all cherry. Seats are cherry. Cane webbing in there. So it's a little thwart goes across the center. But that's a beauty. That's a beautiful canoe. Sold. I don't really need to sell these canoes. I like to sell them, and I do sell them, but I don't pump them out like I used to pump them out, that's for sure. Basically, that's how we do it. So there is to it. This is a stem band on the front here. Goes down on the canoe. In the channel, there's a little channel cutting this canoe. Right in here. Sets in the channel. And then like I was saying, you got your little ribs. I'm sorry folks, I'm not really set up for TV. So these little wooden ribs, they'll get put in some hot water in a steamer and they just bend around just like that. Bend around them steel ribs. Okay? Right down the whole canoe. Boom, boom, boom. All steam bent. There'll be a gunnel that's on here. Little gunnel. Actually, here's a gunnel. You snap this gunnel on here. Okay, so you steam bend the gunnel and you bend it around. There's a little notch right here in the end, you can see it. You'll stick this piece of the gunnel underneath it. And it'll come out. It'll be in line with your stem. You bend it around the canoe. After you do that, both sides, you take all your little ribs that you're steaming. They bend like pasta. It's pretty easy. One here, bend them and you nail them on the gunnel. That piece of wood I just showed. Nail them on the gunnel all the way across, all the way down. All these will be all on here. Then you planking goes on over the ribs. Like so. Then you take your brass tacks and you shoot tacks in here, all by hand. Boom, 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 boom. The whole thing. And on a canoe, when you're building it, I mean, you only can flex this stuff so much. You wet this under hot water and you can cup it. Some of these planks, they have to cup a little bit when they go around here, because the canoe goes around. So this piece of wood has to get forced around, so it's cupping. Okay, and it runs out to a taper. So not only cupping this piece of wood, you're cutting a taper into it, whatever the taper has to be. Every canoe is different, and you taper it and it works like a little jigsaw puzzle. It's almost, think about building one of these canoes, it's kind of like building a jigsaw puzzle, really, in theory. But that's how we do it, folks. If you look on this canoe, you can see how this is tapered, this plank. Look at how this plank's got a belly in it. It's like probably an inch wide here on both ends. It goes up to like 2 inches in the middle. This is a slow angle that kind of rolls. You're rolling it. You're cutting it and rolling it at the same time. Then you nail it onto the ribs. This piece here is flat. This is another cupper here. You can see right where the canoe starts going from horizontal to vertical. Now if you look at this plank, these very first planks, the garber plank they call them, they go from horizontal to vertical. I mean, that is flat to right up. The second one is flat to right up. So that's a good twist in that wood. Sometimes you have to make that piece 2 or 3 times to get it right before you have a good piece of planking in there that doesn't have a crack in it. Like I said, with these canoes, they're all clear, so the work has to be good. Most people that build wooden canvas canoes, you can have a little crack in your wood on the outside. You're not going to see the crack on the inside. It only splits on the outside of the wood. It doesn't go all the way through. And they'll leave it like that. They might glue it, sand it a little bit, figure the hull out, and they'll throw the canvas on it. That's the way it is. I mean, if you want to get some work done, can't be too fussy. But I'm pretty fussy with these. That's basically it. I'm just being here working for the rest of the day. Thanks for watching my channel, I appreciate it. Here's another deal I got going on. I made this big canoe here, the big form. It's gonna be a beauty. 16, maybe it's 17 feet long. Woohoo, that's a big one. I got it all figured out. And you look, when you're making a canoe, you want to have it smooth. No humps or bumps. This is the stem. I'm going to make these stems out of pressure treated, I think. They don't usually do it in a standard canoe. It's probably cherry or ash. I made this one with pressure treated. I had a hard time bending it, so I laminated 3 pieces of pressure treated together. Boom. I got my stems, both of them, pressure treated. I only did it like that because the canoes in the old days, they all rotted out. That stem part right there rots out in a canoe in a second. And the reason it rots out is because people take these canoes and they stick them in the mud. Believe it or not. You'll take a nice old town canoe and throw the damn thing right in the mud. Just upside down, so that end part right there that you're looking at sticks right in the mud for all winter long. And then they take it out in the spring, it's rotted a little. And the next year goes on and on and on, and the thing gets rotted out completely, rotted out. So that's why I did it with stems. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. I don't really know. But it should work out. I got to put more bands on it. He's built just like that little model I was talking about before. Nice steel bands. 18 gauge galvanized steel. Rolls around on there. I had to put some wheels on it. This thing's heavy. I don't know how heavy it's going to be when it's done, but it's going to be heavy. I can barely pick it up. But that's going to be a beauty. I'm going to be building these for sale. 17 foot. If anybody's interested, give me a holler. I'd be more than happy to build you one. I mean, I've been in business for 30-something years. I've built these models and sold them to everybody. Like a lot of them. A lot of them. Canoe coffee tables I built. Like this one here. It's going to be all glass top put on there, cut out. Gonna look pretty sharp, Bob. These are models too. Right here. Those are 8-foot models, just for display models in your house. This is a light. I make them, those are 6-inch LED lights. That canoe is just like the one you're looking at right here, except it's basically finished. So you can see the inside and you can see the outside profile of that canoe. And you take that canoe and you come over here and you hang it in your kitchen like so. This is my little man cave in my workshop. This ain't my house, just my workshop. Yeah, I got a couple chains, you wire it. I ran the wiring up by the chain so it doesn't look too bad. But basically you'd probably go straight up through the ceiling with put an outlet up there or whatever. Suit your needs. But that's what those lights look like. Little paddles hold them up on the chains. Kind of cool. I put a floor rack in there. Lights are built right into the floor rack. So that's what that looks like. I like it. I like it a lot. I really do. They're pretty cool. I've sold some of them over the years. Just a little shop tour of my other shop. I had everything, but it burned down. Now I'm stuck with this. Nothing. Basically nothing. I had all kinds of machines, planers, band saws, table saws, but my shop burned down, so a couple of stem jigs up there. You get what you get, you lose what you lose. It's not a big deal, you just gotta keep trucking on, man. Basically, that's it around here. That's what the Little Bear Canoe Company looks like. Been around for a while. My daughter built me this thing years ago. Nice little wooden sign. 1992. That's when it all started. I got a piece of hemlock down here. I'm probably gonna take this piece of hemlock, this 10-inch hemlock, cut it in sections and make a stand for that canoe coffee table. Probably what I'll do with that. Boy, we got some ribs. We got some ribs. Next thing we have to do is on the table down here. A little, this is a center line. We got to mark all these ribs. Some are longer than others. The longer ones go in the middle of the canoe, and the shorter ribs go on the outside of the canoe. They separate the short and long just by hitting them on the bench like that. You can see which ones are short, which ones are long. You take these long ones, a little mark on here. The side that you sanded, you don't touch it. You want to make the mark on the opposite side. I got a center line here. Mark each one. You don't want to put a pencil line on the part of the rib I sanded because that part gets bent around the canoe form. So this is the inside, this will be the inside of the canoe, this surface of the rib. So you want to make sure you get that pencil mark on the outside of the rib. It's just a reference line, so when I start bending these ribs on that canoe, I know how much of the rib's going to bend over one side to the other side. I don't know exactly how much, so it looks, everything comes out even, because if you notice on these ribs there's a taper. It's a 6-inch taper, so it goes from 6 inches to a 1/2 inch. So it's 3/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch. Ain't much of a taper there, but you want a little taper because when you look at that in the canoe, it looks real nice coming up into the canoe, into the gunnels if you have a taper on there. It's a standard for any canoe, is taper the ribs. Short one in there. It's all time consuming a little bit. Not too bad. I've built so many of these canoes that I don't really think about anything. You don't have to think on how to do it. You just kind of do it. It fits in your head. Here we go. All these ribs all ready to go. Probably Monday. That's it for me for today. Probably tomorrow, Monday, maybe tomorrow even I'll come back on live there, folks. I appreciate everybody that's been watching today. I really do. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a good day. Take care. Have a great weekend.